welcome back to a brand new video. I wanted to film a discussion video. I really enjoy filming discussion videos. For one thing, they get pretty easy to edit because it's just like one solid stream of footage. So it means that it gets posted sooner, right? I am behind on posting just because everything's just getting so busy and I have a lot of backlog footage. I have footage even from last year that I have not even posted yet. So if I do post it and you're like, wait a second, like, you know, something like this is like a previous season or a previous year, the weather's different, don't be alarmed. It's just I filmed it before. But I think putting content out there is still valuable. Just whenever I do it, I'll do it. But I love these videos because I enjoy watching discussion videos because I can do work as I'm listening. Like I can fold laundry, I can clean, organize my bathroom, whatever the case is. Some people like, and I've done this too, where I'll tune in as I'm driving. So the video's playing, but I'm listening to it and I don't have to really pay attention to the actual screen because nothing's really being shown. So these are valuable too. So this will be a bit of a chatty video, so just a little bit of a warning for anybody who doesn't like chatty videos. Then you can feel free to, you know, look at another video of mine. I wanted to discuss with you some topics, some sort of like, I guess, like luxury content controversy or YouTube controversy, and a few topics have come to mind just based on concerns and comments that I've read out there on forums and even on other YouTube videos, even questions that I have been asked. And I thought I'd collect my thoughts, film a video, and then we can start a discussion here as well and see how we feel. I do like that the audience that I have, we're all quite mature, so I really like the community that we have going. Whereas, you know, other sources may not necessarily have the most mature community, and that's okay, right? But, you know, if you feel that sort of vibe where you don't like the Mean Girls vibe and you want to discuss with each other in the comment section down below and just be, you know, just be cordial, right? We don't all have to agree on something, but that still means that we remain respectful to each other. So I wanted to discuss luxury selling, okay? And this seems to be a criticism that has been picked on over the last couple of years. And is it okay to resell your luxury items? And of course, this brings on many answers, and it's entirely situation dependent. For one thing, people know that when you buy a luxury item, that if you sell it, you will most likely get a good chunk of your money back if you do choose wisely, okay? If it's a hot item, if it's a brand that has classic items that, you know, they raise their prices every year, like Chanel, if it's a classic piece, if it's a sought after seasonal item, if you sell it, you won't, it's not like you'll get zero for it. You will get a good chunk of your money. In some cases, some people have profited, but in most cases, people will either get all of their money back or a good chunk. Like it's as though they're renting the bag, really, right? So if they use the bag for, say, if they buy a bag for, say, like 5K, okay, and then they use it for a year, and then they end up selling it on for $4,000, then they get to wear that bag for $1,000 and they're renting it basically, and then they move it on to the next home. And in a way, buying pre-owned is a bit it is sustainable, really, right? Because things aren't going into the trash, and you're not over consuming, you're not stimulating overproduction. But I mean, it's far more complex than that, but that's the whole theory behind it, right? And also some people get to find items that they may have missed out on in store, and they weren't able to, you know, find it, and then maybe a year later it's on the pre-owned market and they can finally purchase it again. So there's a lot of heart bags on the pre-loved market that are up for sale, obviously for a premium, but they're still up there, and for anybody who wants to purchase, they will purchase them. But as I've said, these aren't investments, right? So people, you know, we all understand that these are not financial investments, and they're not to, you know, don't invest your money in a bag. That's how I feel. I think that if you're going to buy a bag thinking that it's an investment, then you might as well just buy something else. Buy the bag because you're going to use it and enjoy it, right? And I used to be really well, I still am very careful with my things, of course, because I want my items to look nice over time because I want to enjoy them. But I've kind of sort of let off a little bit and am letting myself enjoy the items and wear the bags and not worry so much about scratches and things like that, because it's my bag, right? Like it's not a life, right? It's an inanimate object, okay? So we don't need to be too precious with these things, but you still want to keep them pristine and nice. Anyway, there are many reasons why some people will want to sell. So I've made some notes. The major reason why a lot of people think that people want to sell bags, especially YouTube creators or influencers or anybody who's got a big following on Instagram, is to retrieve funds to buy another bag or other luxury items. And often this is criticized. So like, let's say, you buy a bag and you bought it for, again, $5K, right? But then you see another bag that you like, but you can't afford to buy the other bag. So then you decide to sell the one that you currently have so you can buy the next it bag, okay? That's okay. If you want to do that, that's totally fine, because people don't have ample funds to buy bags over and over again and hoard them. Like, these are very expensive things. And if somebody wants to consume luxury that way, that is totally fine, right? Because if that's all they can afford and they, want to enjoy one bag, again, they're kind of like renting the bag, and they want to get another one for a change of pace or try something new, that is okay. But the major criticism of this way of selling is placed on content creators and influencers who post a lot of unboxings, okay? So many years ago, I think like YouTube, like a lot of these videos really started booming like 10, 12 years ago. And people never really got a sense of it, right? They just saw unboxings and wow, like unboxings, and these people are buying XYZ, whether it's luxury or beauty products or whatever the case is, or hauls like of clothes, it'll get a lot of views, right? Because we all love to see that stuff, myself included. And then, they get the views, so they get the channel following and they get the followers on Instagram and whatnot on their platform. And then to keep that momentum going, they will sell some of their items to fund, and then take the money and fund other items and make another video and then do the same thing and same thing again, right? So this is the major criticism here. And they will leverage their following, so the power of their following, to be able to sell these items. So it's easier to sell an item if you have a social media presence versus selling, in private, right? Because you have people, you have a market to advertise to, and and that's what they were being criticized for. And people caught on to this, right? Because it wasn't realistic. Like, a lot of people are like, wow, like, how is she? And mostly the criticism is placed on women, right? And, we have double standards, but how on earth is she able to afford all this? And then people will nitpick and be like, aha, she's selling her items, right? Or she's doing some other illegal activity, right? And we'll get into that as well in another video, okay? But let's just stick to selling. And people have started to catch on and be like, okay, I'm not falling for that trap, okay? Like, I don't want to feel, I don't want to feel like this big. Like, I don't want to feel inadequate anymore, because seeing somebody buy so many nice, expensive things makes me feel bad about myself. And yeah, I can see that, right? Like, people can feel inadequate when they watch this sort of content, and they feel as though, other people are just getting ahead in life and they aren't. And that's also a bit of, I think, a responsibility that creators need to give. That's also a responsibility I think creators need to keep in mind, is to have discretion and be like, listen, like, I afford these, but if you're 18 years old, I don't expect you to afford these, because when I was 18, I didn't buy these things, right? Like, stuff like that, right? But then again, nobody is obligated to justify anything to anybody. But this was the whole thing. And then it's like, okay, so people were kind of onto this, like, smoke and mirrors and best kept secret, right? That's how people were able to generate videos and content and, again, generate a revenue, right? And then there's this criticism again that, you know, on a side note that, oh, okay, with these videos and all these views, they're able to make this money to buy another handbag, which is not true. Like, you don't make a lot of money from views. I think we all know that. And I think a lot of the money, I know a lot of the money comes from sponsorships, and the bigger you are, the more subscribers you have, you'll get better paying sponsorships, which will pay you a lot of money, and you know, that becomes a business for somebody. But that's another tangent and another side note. So often the criticism is, well, this YouTuber or influencer cannot afford to buy all these bags, and therefore she has to sell off the bags that she once raved about and influenced all of us to buy, so she can go and buy the next it item. And it leaves people feeling really bitter, because here they're trusting this person, their judgment, and when they unbox a bag and they're so giddy and so happy about this bag, and then they review the bag, and then everybody's like, wow, like so-and-so YouTuber said this bag is amazing, I'm gonna go and buy it. And then all of a sudden that said YouTuber then sells this bag, and everybody's like, well, WTF, right? Like, what am I supposed to do, right? Like, this person told me that this is the greatest bag ever, told me to buy it, and then now she's sold it, and what am I, like, now it's not good anymore? What? Like, what are you talking about, right? And there's that criticism. So they find it hard to trust, and then the bitterness ensues. So we're smarter, right? Like, the viewers are smarter. We're getting older now. My thought process is different from 10 years ago, right? So I've matured. I can see, right, like past that smoke and mirrors, and, you know, I don't let it get to me. But, you know, a lot of people find these people, you know, not as trustworthy anymore. Again, another reason why somebody might want to sell is they're going to downsize, right? Maybe, you know, this person has bought a lot of bags, right, and loves everything, but now is like, you know what, I really don't need all this. And it doesn't mean that they don't love the items that they have. It's just they probably might be like, whoa, like, this is a lot. I'm not going to use all of these. I need to go into my collection and prune and assess, okay, I did love this item, but in my collection I wear this more, so I'm going to have to downsize because I don't have the space for it. So it's not even about affordability anymore. Yes, it's one aspect, but it's not always about the money, right? Like, there are people there who they can afford to buy everything that they want every year, but is it realistic to have that many bags or that many luxury items crowding up in your home? Like, it's not realistic, right? You just don't have the physical space. And there are people like online, right? Like Jamie Chua, who is a billionaire in Singapore. And she has quite a large following, but she has a room full of Hermes bags, Birkins, Kellys, exotics, like multiple shades of baby pink. And, you know, wow, amazing, right? Like, it's nice to see that, but I don't personally want that, right? Like, I mean, it just seems very hard to keep track of, right? Like, and of course you can afford to have all those bags and even house all those bags, because they take up real estate, they take up space. You have to have, you know, storage for them. You need to be able to keep them secure. Like, there's cost to storing these things, and she probably does not wear a lot of these. And I don't think she's going to be selling those bags. Like, I don't think so. She has the money. She doesn't need to sell. And she's okay with storing them like that. But there's people out there who are not okay with, like, just having stuff. I don't like clutter either, right? So it takes up a lot of physical space, but it also takes up a lot of mental space. So you have to think about what you have. Like, you don't even remember what you have. Like, and you don't even remember how to style these items, right? So you probably don't even reach for these items, and it takes up a lot of mental space, and it can give people anxiety. I know it gives me anxiety if there's like way too much stuff around me. I get stressed out because it's a lot of stimulation to the brain, and you know, we're already in a very stressful life as it is, that these things shouldn't stress us out, right? So, you know, and I guess that's one of the reasons why I don't like to have a bag display out in the open like that. I know people do have it as their backdrop, and I don't know if I'd like to do that, because I think it just, I like everything white and clean and all that. So, downsizing. Another reason why somebody might sell is lifestyle changes. So I've spoken to people, actually, some of you guys, and some of you have told me, oh, I'm selling this item because, they had a baby or they have children, and they realize, wow, like, this is not a kid-friendly bag. I'll never be able to wear this around my son. I'm never going to be able to wear this around my daughter. Or this bag is too small for my needs. And when I'm out and about with my kids, I need something a little bit bigger, and I need something to wear crossbody. So some people will be like, okay, I really love this bag, but it no longer works for me, and I need to buy something else to work for my lifestyle. Perhaps, you are moving to a different climate, right? Like, what if you're moving to, maybe you're coming from a tropical country to like Canada, right? And it snows and rains and all that, so your wardrobe is going to change, and perhaps your handbags are going to change. Maybe you're not going to be able to wear that white suede bag when it's like raining and pouring and snow and slush and dirt and salt is everywhere in most of the year, right? So there's lifestyle changes. Some people get older, right? And as you get older, certain bags might be too complicated to use, and you're like, what, I don't have the patience for this anymore. I want something easy, easy to use and fuss-free. Or maybe a bag is too heavy, right? And you're like, I need something lighter, maybe I have a bad shoulder or whatnot, right? There's so many lifestyle changes. Maybe you have a lot of event bags, and now, your life is such where you don't have a lot of formal events to go to, and you may not need these blingy little clutches that you accumulated, right? So that can be a reason why people will sell. Maintaining a core collection, okay? So to prevent your collection from getting massive. So this particularly happens, and I was discussing with some of you about this. You get your classics, okay? And then you get into seasonal bags, okay? Or like colored bags, because that's typically how people progress. Not everybody, but typically people will get their black and their white and their neutral, and then they'll tamper into pink territory, and then they'll sort of tiptoe into yellow territory, and then they'll tiptoe into blue territory, then they'll tiptoe into tweed, right? Or canvas. Like, they go into different textures. But anyway, sometimes you want a pink bag. Let's say you're searching for a beautiful baby pink, okay? We all know there's many shades of baby pink. Some are more blue toned, some are more peachy toned, some have a sheen, some don't have a sheen, some may come in lambskin, some may come in caviar, or different leathers, right, from different houses. And these seasonal colors we don't have any control over of what this house is going to bring out, right? Like, we don't choose the shade, we don't choose the leather, we don't choose the hardware. It's what they bring out that season. So let's say you're on a hunt for a beautiful baby pink bag, and it comes out and you're like, wow, actually I love baby pink. I'm going to get this classic flap in baby pink. And it's in caviar leather, it's in silver hardware, and you're like, you know what, I want this bag. So you buy it. Next 2 seasons, another baby pink bag comes around, and you're like, I like this baby pink more than the baby pink that I got. So another baby pink color comes in a classic flap, and it's in the same leather, same hardware, but the tone of it is what you were actually wishing for, and you just can visualize. It's very hard to visualize colors, guys, until you see them. It's very hard to visualize what you are really attracted to, because you can't just take like a fabric swatch or a paint chip and be like, I want this color handbag. You can't do that, right? So until you see it, and sometimes like certain colors, like one will be more attractive to you than to somebody else, right? So then it doesn't make sense to have 2 baby pink classic flaps, right? Because you're going to obviously wear one and prefer one over the other. So it's to prevent redundancy in your collection, right? So if you want to keep a core collection, and you're like, you know what, this is what I want. I only want 1 pink bag. I only want 1 yellow bag. I only want 1 blue bag. I want only 1 green bag, and then the rest are black, because we have multiple black bags usually. But it's to, prevent that redundancy, because what if you have a collection and you always prefer to wear one, like let's say you have 2 white handbags and you're like, I actually always prefer wearing this white handbag for this occasion versus the other one, right? It's okay to have multiple bags in multiple colors. Let's say if they're in different styles and one is more casual and one is more dressy, then that's okay, because if you see yourself wearing both, then that's fine. But if you see yourself only reaching for one and the other one's just sitting there, then, you know, if you want to sell it on, that's okay. That's totally fine. It doesn't mean that you don't like the bag. It's just you have something else that you rather use, right? And that doesn't mean that that bag is awful, right? But then we all have to assess and, like, you know, see, well, what is the pattern of selling, okay? So if this person is selling one, you know, here and there, I don't think that's something that's to raise a concern over. But if this person is like chronically selling, like without even using the items, and is buying, holding on for like a month or two and then selling it, then it's like, okay, then, you know, where do you draw the line where that person's a reseller versus an actual like consumer and is like selling on? And then, you know, there's speculation again as well, right? Like, how are these people able to afford these bags? Are they doing something illegal? I mean, I've seen comments made about YouTubers where there's speculation that they're into like prostitution or escort work, or they are involved in drugs or whatnot. And, you know, it's none of our business. I will say that. It's none of our business. It's not up for me to judge how somebody affords something. It's not my business. That's on them, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's all about free will. Anyone can sell their property as they wish. It's not something that we can enforce. It's not something that any corporation can really enforce either. So no corporation can actually stop you from selling something, but they can place consequences and restrict you from buying from them again if that is something that they're against. So Hermes is apparently very, like, they're super against you reselling their items because it's become a bit of a problem that does kick everybody else in the butt sometimes. So they have their reasons. They're allowed to do what they want, but they can place restrictions on somebody, you know, from buying from them again. Please don't name drop anybody. I don't want this video to be about certain individuals. I'm talking in general, but like, if you have examples of influencers or content creators, I don't want you to put their name here in the comment section at all, because I'm not here to talk individually about them. I'm talking overall. So people can place consequences on you. Like, if Chanel finds out that you're selling their bags or their whatever you're buying, they can be like, you know what, we're not going to really sell to you. And they may not tell you, right? They might be like, listen, they might just not let you buy certain items, or they might not, if you're asking for something, they might not give it to you, right? So they have their ways, but they can't actually come and stop you from selling items that you have in your wardrobe already. But again, it's all about free will. And we have to respect that. People are allowed to evolve and change their minds, okay? So again, things change in your life and you're allowed to change your mind, right? You know, just because you like something, you know, you love something 2-3 years ago, you may not like it anymore. That's okay. People can spend their money how they wish, and people can sell their items how they wish, and people can buy items on the pre-owned market how they wish, okay? So there is a market out there that is there to buy items on the secondhand market. And also, if, say, like, you're influenced to buy a luxury item, whether it's a bag or shoes or clothing or whatnot, or a car, okay, and somebody comes on in social media and makes a post or makes a video and posts it and, you know, is loving the item, and it influences you to buy the item, it's kind of twofold, right? At the end of the day, like, you have your own free will to swipe your card or pay, if you pay cash, I don't know, right? But like, you're buying at the end of the day, right? So you can't always blame somebody for influencing your purchase, right? Because you still went and purchased it. You made that active choice, and whatever that person has said and has pointed out pros and cons of the item, it's helped you make an informed decision and you saw how this item can fit into your life and fit into your lifestyle, and that's why you bought it, right? So, you know, people can't be bitter and be like, oh, well, so and so said, like, oh, they love this bag, so I went and bought it because they loved it. Well, that's kind of immature, right? Like, if somebody told you to jump off a cliff, would you jump off a cliff? Anyway, so again, I do get discouraged with chronic reselling because I feel it does take away items in the boutique for people who genuinely want to buy and enjoy them. So that is one extreme, and I've already talked about resellers and how it's really destroyed things, but I think they're being nipped in the butt already because, again, with Chanel, right? It was a big thing during the pandemic where people didn't have access to stores, and then like there was this frenzy online, and we all talked about this, about unicorn bags and creating hype, and then people buying them and then not being available, and then there's like a thirst and a demand for these hot colors like baby pink and caramels, and you know, and iridescence, right? So they were unicorns, and then people were selling them for like a ridiculous premium, and then Chanel's like, you know what, I'm just going to re-release these colors. They re-released caramel twice now in the classic flap and in other seasons and other styles. They're re-releasing baby pinks left, right, and center because it does so well. So they're no longer unicorns, and these resellers cannot charge a premium anymore. So that being said, it's not that easy to sell luxury items, guys. Even if you do have a large following, these are risky transactions. They're large amounts, and there's a risk to the buyer, but there's also a risk to the seller. And you know, sometimes it's really hard to just sell to strangers, even if they follow you, right? So there's people out there to screw you over, and you probably don't want to put yourself in that risk and lose a bag and money, right? So it's not that easy to sell such high priced items because you only have a very narrow market to work with. And you know, again, then there's also like people who, you know, won't trust if the item's out there. There's so many complications, right? So it's not that easy to sell, first of all. And if people do sell and they go through consignment, then they're paying fees. So there's always downsides to selling. Again, I wouldn't buy a bag to sell or to flip. It's just too much of a headache. There's other ways for me to make money, and I just don't need that headache and stress. However, will I ever sell? So I rarely sell bags. I rarely do, and I haven't sold a bag in many years. I've sold, so I had, see again, I have kind of a regret, but at the same time, I probably made a wise decision. I had the mini flap from Chanel in Caviar, the rectangular mini. And I ended up selling that when I got my medium classic flap in black. And the reason why I sold it, this is many years ago, when these bags were still around, was because I just felt it was redundant. I'm like, I already have my Holy Grail medium classic flap. I don't want a mini in black, right? Because I felt like the mini in black, it looked like I didn't get the medium, like it looked like I couldn't afford the medium classic flap. That's not the case. I know people like the mini because they can wear it crossbody. So I probably should have held on to it because, you know, it's so sought after, but it just wasn't, I wasn't going to use it. I'd rather use my medium classic flap. And then I realized that if I'm going to get a mini, I want colors. And now the minis that I have are interesting. They're tweed, they're colored, metallic, so they're different and they're fun. And that's why I love the mini, because I can have fun with it without investing that, without investing a lot of money, right? Like I'm using the word invested, but without spending a lot of money, I can have fun in a smaller piece. But now minis are really expensive too. I sold, when the Louis Vuitton Pochette Métisse came out, it was very hard to get your hands on, very hard. Especially, I wasn't into the canvas, but when they came out with the Empreinte leather, I was like, this is really good value, because it was an all leather bag and the price point was so good for what it was. And I was trying to get my hands on it. I couldn't, there was a wait list, couldn't get my hands on it. I finally got my hands on it. It was a made in France piece. I looked at the embossing, it was all deep and beautiful and amazing, and I loved it. But I never wore it. Never wore it. I don't know why. It was the combination, I think. I think the combination was black and gold and it was formal. So in a formal setting, I would wear more of a classic handbag, like a dressier handbag, and this was more of a day bag for me. And then I ended up selling it just locally. And I ended up selling it for the price I paid. But the person who bought it at a time when there was several price increases. Now mine was brand new. I still had stickers on it, and she was so happy. She was really happy that she was able to buy it, and it was also a made in France bag, because a lot of the bags that Canada was receiving were made in the US, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, it's nice to have a made in France piece. Other than that, no, I haven't sold any bags. There has been a bag that I did post on my Instagram from my collection. I filmed an unboxing. I never got around to posting it. It's in a vlog, so vlogs are hard for me to edit because there's just so much going on. So I procrastinate, and I need to edit and post those. But it's a beautiful bag. Love it, but then I never wore it. So it was brand new, and I was thinking, you know what, maybe I should let this go because it is brand new. It's a beautiful bag. And then when I started getting people messaging me about it, like wanting to buy it, I was like, no, I'm gonna keep it. Right? So every time I'd look at it, I was like, I like it. It's not like I don't hate you. I love you. Like I'll keep you, right? So that was one I was considering. And another one I was considering selling is, so there is a bag, and again, I got a question about this too, and I put a post out there feeling for interest. So I love my black Chanel 19. As you know, I filmed a review on it. I absolutely love that bag, and I use it a lot, and I think it's such an amazing bag. It's one bag that I see keeping in my collection forever. However, I did express that I was always wanting the bag in goat skin. The one that I have is made in lamb skin, which is still absolutely lovely. I love it. My white one is made in goat skin. I just like the look of goat skin. I like the, not that it's more durable, because I know any leather will scuff, okay? In fact, lamb skin, you can do more to it than goat skin, but I just like the sheen of goat skin, and I feel like it's a thicker leather. So I like how it looks in general on the 19. So I didn't have a choice at the time because they stopped making the 19 in goat skin. So I had, somebody had, one of the people who has subscribed to me were like friends, online friends, okay? And she has the same bag, same size, same hardware, black, in the small size, in black goat skin. And she was selling it, and I'm like, dang, if you told me before, then I wouldn't have bought mine, I would have bought yours. And she's only selling hers because she wants a bigger size. So, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I can't have two of the same bag. Like, I can't have two of the same bag. So, just because they're different leathers, like they're the exact same bag. I can't have two of them.
Already did it.
Okay. So I was thinking, if I'm able to get my hands on that goat skin one, then I will sell the one that I have. And that's the only reason. So again, I still love the bag, but I changed it because I have a different configuration. Same goes for if you want to change the hardware, or let's say if you have that 19 and you want to get a bigger size, it's okay to sell the one you have because you still love the bag in general, but maybe you just want a bigger size, or maybe you want a different leather. So I will, if you want to see my video on the review, and then also that, and you're interested, I will sell it, and I will obviously sell it below retail because I have used it, and obviously there has to be some incentive for you to buy it pre-owned. Otherwise, you can just go to the boutique and buy it. Although it is hard to come across a small black 19, I will say, but it's there. I'm not in a rush to sell it because I don't have that goat skin in my hands yet.
But I do now.
So if somebody wants to buy it, then you can contact me, and maybe I'll do a video post on selling. But yeah, so there are my thoughts on reselling bags. But at the end of the day, it's not up to us to judge or belittle anybody for selling their own items. Like, who cares? Let's just enjoy the videos that people put out, right? Like, we're liking this content, we're driving this content. I love watching unboxings. I like seeing what's new. It's the eye candy. It's learning about features of certain pieces and hearing people's thoughts on certain bags and other luxury items, and they help me make a decision when I want to buy something. But at the end of the day, I'm making the decision. Nobody's putting a gun to my head to buy said bag. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Okay, so I did end up buying the goatskin version from my Instagram friend who kindly was visiting Toronto and delivered it to me. And yeah, so I do have the goatskin version. I put it next to my lambskin version. I think as per her request, I'm going to do a video comparing the two for anybody who's looking on the pre-loved market and wants to know the difference between goatskin and lambskin. And this would be a great comparison because they are the same specs, same color, same hardware, same size. So it'll be really neat to film a video comparing the two since I have both in hand. Now, when I put them next to each other, guys, I think I'm crazy because I love them both. I really do. I know it's not realistic for me to keep both. I mean, who's stopping me from keeping both? But it is kind of like redundant to obviously have two of the same bag. But I love both. And I think the reason is, you know what? Actually, I'll save that for another video. I won't bore you with that. But I can't see myself parting with my lambskin one either. Like, it's become an extension of me. I've breathed life into it. So it's very hard. It's very hard. This is why I'm really bad at selling bags. But I will do a video comparing. If any of you are interested, please message me. I have my email in the description box. I also have Instagram, so you can DM me. And maybe we can work something out. But just so you know, I'm having a hard time parting with the lambskin because I love this bag, but I love both. So I'm crazy, okay? We'll chat about this another time.